just about every production line you can think of. Backed by the UK government and some of the world's biggest companies, the Made Smarter adoption programme was launched in January 2019 in the Northwest. It already worked with more than 1,200 firms and directly supported over 580 businesses to use digital technology to overcome challenges or access opportunities to grow their business. Now, the adoption rollout has been extended with plans to support a further 1,000 small and medium-sized manufacturers across the Northwest, Northeast, Yorkshire, Humber and the West Midlands. Whether it's advice, funding support, skills or leadership your business needs, Made Smarter is helping makers and creators innovate their operations every day. Get in contact with us. Sign up now at madesmarter.uk.
Great. That was a great video. I'm just noticing that some people are joining us late, and it may be worth, Chris, if we just have a quick recap of what we started. I'm just going to go quick intro of this is the Business Equally Live show. It's the April 2023 version. We are looking today particularly at the Made Smarter project. The Made Smarter program, which you've seen a video there of some of the rollouts of the very early programs. So today we're talking about Made Smarter. I've actually got Dr. Chris Owens from Owen and Partners, and Chris is also the program director for Made Smarter in the East Midlands. So we've seen the video that said this was rolled out in the Northwest and up into the Tyneside region, and now, Chris, it's now in the East Midlands.
Yeah. So I have to say, we've been absolutely overwhelmed with demand from the region's manufacturers. We opened our doors officially the middle of December of last year. And since then, we've seen over 240 expressions of interest, which has kind of bowled us over, I have to say. So the program team have kind of been in vertical startup mode. I have to say it's been like drinking from a fire hose in the first few months of delivery. We always knew that the offering was going to be very popular. We knew that there was sort of pent-up demand across the manufacturing community, across the region. So we knew it was going to be a popular offer, but maybe we'd underestimated its popularity. And I think it's also true to say that other forms of support are kind of ramping down in the region as well. So a lot of the ERDF-funded support and things like that are starting to ramp down, whereas Made Smarter is now aggressively ramping up. But I have to say that the engagement of the sector across the whole of the East Midlands region has been received very positively by the Department for Business, indeed at ministerial level. So it's really putting the East Midlands manufacturing community on the map, so to speak. It's also true to say that we haven't driven our marketing efforts particularly aggressively. There's been a lot of organic demand coming in week on week. And that's still steadily flowing in every week. We've got a number of expressions of interest coming in from across the region. And of course, we only have a limited number of slots and a limited budget to support people. So my advice is, if you're interested in the Made Smarter offering, then get your expression of interest in as soon as possible.
And as you said before, Chris, so that this program, the Made Smarter program, is actually about trying to increase productivity within manufacturing, and to do that through that sort of industrial digital technologies.
Yeah,
this is where the gains are, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and really, sort of the main aim or objective of the Made Smarter program is to inspire, motivate, and engage with SME manufacturers across Lincolnshire, Leicestershire, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire. We want to help and support companies to adopt that industrial digital technology to boost productivity and competitiveness, and ultimately benefit the bottom line of those companies and obviously the employees that work there. So, you know, there's some big benefits out there. The size of the prize is significant. The program's going to run over the next couple of years, so it will close out the end of March 2025, and over that period we'll be engaging with over 400 manufacturers across the region. So it's a significant scale of program, and out of those 400, Guy, will be engaging in industrial digital technology transformation mapping to help provide them with a sense of a journey for the adoption of digital technology within their own business. We'll be providing over 80 companies with industrial digital technology advice. So that's boots on the ground consultants and advice. We'll also be providing over 50 grants for CapEx and revenue projects, and indeed launching a new leading digital transformation program for leaders to learn new skills about how to adopt and implement digital technology within their business. So ultimately, it's about us providing the resource, boots on the ground, technical support, and funding to help boost innovation, productivity, and competitiveness of our manufacturing sector across the region. So that's great news, obviously, for the manufacturers of the region, but I think it actually goes much deeper than that, Guy. The Make Smarter brand really allows us to showcase engineering and manufacturing because it's all about tech. It's all about tech, it's all about digital, and it's all about innovation. And so that allows us to project the manufacturing sector in a more relevant way than ever before, I think. And it allows people to appreciate that the sector is fast-paced, it's vibrant, it's dynamic, and of course it provides really meaningful, high-quality career opportunities for both those in our current workforce, but also the youngsters that are coming through. So Made Smarter is, for me, much more than just providing boots on the ground help and support. It's about really showcasing the fabulous manufacturing companies that we have across the region and really boosting the profile of manufacturing. So it brings a lot to the party, I think.
Yeah, and you're talking about sort of leading digital transformation, and we were chatting just before we sort of came on the broadcast about the recent pandemic has actually in a way forced people to much more to get into that sort of digital transformation, to accept more of the technologies. I mean, we're now doing this on a LinkedIn video event through a technology called StreamYard, which is very similar to a Zoom or a Teams, and that's now been fully adopted. So adoption to digital transformation is already sort of quite high in people's minds.
Well, it is. It's strange. I think COVID, as you say, has forced people to adopt Teams and Zoom and things of that maybe they would have adopted in the fullness of time anyway. But I think a lot of SME manufacturers were forced to adopt those technologies, as simple as they are. And after using them, realized, well, hang on a second, I'm saving a lot of time and money. It's quick, it's cheap, it's easy, it's convenient. And I think just those very small changes have got people sort of thinking, well, what else is out there? Are there other things that I should be adopting? Because it is dead easy, it is dead cheap, and there's huge benefits. So it's got people thinking in that way. And, when I said earlier, I think the Department for Business has got this initiative absolutely right. It's the right initiative at the right time. And I think if we go back 5 years when the Jürgen Meyer review was done, I think there maybe wasn't such an appetite from SME manufacturers to adopt digital technology. But now, as time has marched on, I think everybody's interested in it. Even if there is some kind of hesitancy or some reservation or some nervousness around what do I do and how do I do it, the interest is definitely there. Really, Made Smarter is there to help and support people that maybe are concerned or worried in some way about adopting digital technology. So it's absolutely the right initiative at the right time, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And you sort of focused and said this was an idea of looking at productivity. And again, we chatted previously about this and said, productivity is it's actually about trying to get your product to the market at the best possible price to be in the same bracket as its competitors. And we started to move that into sort of energy usage and that sort of stuff, where we sort of said, actually, is this part of the transformation and alongside alongside everything else that Made Smarter is for? Is part of that around sustainability?
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah, and it's actually interesting. There's a number of sort of things that have come together at this moment in time, and you look at sort of energy consumption and energy costs, obviously the awareness of environmental factors and things like that. Input material costs is obviously a massive concern for our region's manufacturers, as is the hiring of skilled people and semi-skilled people. So there are a number of reasons why the adoption of digital technology is something which is now very, very high on people's agenda. Material costs particularly have been rising, and if people can save waste, see, talking about energy efficiency, my lights have gone off. There you go, right on cue. But if people can reduce input material costs, they can eliminate waste and scrap and things of that nature, then obviously that's really of interest to people because they're saving real money. The energy usage side of things, it's very easy, quick and cheap to now measure energy usage in a manufacturing facility or indeed in an office environment. And I think you've got to be able to measure it to manage it. It's that simple. And people are now finding through relatively simple measurement technology and very simple analysis tools, they're discovering that they're using energy that they never even thought they were using, even at night. When everybody's left the office or left the facility, left the factory, they've discovered that they're using energy. And by measuring it, they've been able to make immediate reductions in energy consumption and obviously cost. So, there's a number of very good reasons that, people are now being encouraged to adopt digital technology.
Yeah. I do like that. I said before, I like that measure before you manage. Absolutely right. I mean, I've been working with a different sector and they're doing exactly the same, is to get an idea of their cost, is to look at, what's happening through a 24-hour period, through a monthly period, through seasons, and to see, if there's trends that are there that are thinking, this is not quite right. Something's wrong with our installation. Something's not necessarily working correctly or set correctly. Or is actually outside the norm, and that's all comes back to being more productive. So great. So we've got that sort of digital transformation road mapping. We've got the sort of digital leading transformational programs, the grant funding underpinning that, access to great digital technology consultants. Who's eligible for this program? Chris?
So we're really targeting SME manufacturers across the region.
Okay.
We want manufacturers with a headcount of 10 plus through to less than 249 headcount and a revenue of less than 50 million euros. So it's the classical sort of SME categories. They have to be a manufacturer, so they need to be a maker of a product and obviously be located within Lincolnshire, Leicestershire, or Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire. So that's the basic eligibility criteria, Guy. It's quite straightforward.
Okay. And what is the journey? So very similar to LDF, like we said, that less than 249, but you want to be bigger than 10. So there needs to be some size to that business.
That's right.
And obviously the RDF, but got to manufacturing. Might go back to that in a minute, actually, about what is manufacturing, because I think there's much to. But before we do that, what does the journey look like? So I'm eligible. What's the journey for me? What's that look like?
Yeah, well, it is quite a simple structure, actually, Guy. It all starts off with registration of an expression of interest on the National Made Smarter website, and I'll come back to that a little bit later in our discussion if I can. But it's dead easy to do. There'll be some upfront simple eligibility checks. From there, the beneficiary or the manufacturer will then have an engagement discussion with one of our digital transformation specialists, of which we've got 3 across the region. Following that engagement discussion, companies can move on to digital transformation road mapping. So that's providing them with a journey to digitalize their business over the next sort of 3 to 5 years. So setting out the key milestones and the steps in the dance to give people that advice, guidance and reassurance that they're starting in the right place and also moving in the right direction over the years. And we then also wind that longer term plan right the way back to the here and now. And talk about, right, what's the immediate next steps for you as a business to implement digital technology to bring about immediate improvements. So it's a really nice structured plan to help the manufacturers sort of dispel any fears or concerns that they might have and give them that reassurance and guidance that they're moving in the right direction. And then as companies come out the back end of the road mapping phase, we've got a whole package of support available for them, so we can provide grant funding up to £20,000 of grant, 50% match, one grant paid and claimed in a single stage. And that can be for capital related projects. So people that want new equipment, new capital assets, or indeed revenue related projects. So if people want to buy in expertise, support and knowledge to help them with their transformation, we can support that too. We can also provide direct support in the form of industrial digital technology advice. So in simple terms, that's boots on the ground consultants that are experts in the different disciplines of digital technology to kind of hold their hand and navigate them through the journey and provide advice and expertise. And then finally, we're running a leading digital transformation program, which isn't a regular sort of leadership and management training course, of which there are literally thousands of those around. This is specific to helping leaders of manufacturing businesses implement digital technology and manage that change within their business. Because we all know that managing change is all about the people, it's all about the culture. And
sorry, can I stop there? Because we lost you. We lost everyone for a bit there. I said, can I just go back to that question again? Actually, so I think you got to the grant funding, 50% match, 25k. Was that right?
Yeah, it's £20,000, 50% match.
Got you.
One single application and claimed and paid in one simple stage. And that's for either CapEx or revenue. So purchasing new capital assets or equipment, or indeed buying in help and support in the form of expertise. We also can provide consultancy expertise. Again, that's free of charge, covering 9 different disciplines of industrial digital technology. And I can cover those a bit later in our discussion as we get into the details. So that's boots on the ground help and support to help folks implement digital technology. We're also launching a leading digital transformation program for the leaders of SME manufacturing businesses. And this isn't a kind of bulk standard leadership and management training course, of which there are literally hundreds around. This is specifically focused on giving leaders the skills they need to implement digital technology in their business. And we all know that often changes in business, it's all about the people, it's all about the culture, and it's all about managing that change. And we do know that implementing digital technology brings about some sort of specific challenges that leaders need to be tooled up to deal with. So that's also part of the program. So it's kind of a nice rounded package of support, Guy.
No, it does sound really, really useful. And I do like the idea when you've got things that are tied in with, grant funding, but then also that's, like say, boots on the ground. It's great to have grants, but you will make sure that the businesses are spending them in the right way, and that they've got transformational program support along with that, because that can be a sort of a stall to actually to anything happening and going and making that really work. So, what sort of technologies and types of projects does Made Smarter support? What they're specifically looking at? Yeah,
we can support a wide range of different projects, actually, Guy. Maybe I'd answer that question more from a process point of view first, if I can, in terms of the scope of the processes that we can cover. Because often when people think about manufacturing and digital technology, their thoughts immediately jump to the shop floor and the capital assets on the shop floor. But, Made Smarter is much broader than that. And we can support things like customer relationship management systems, so CRM systems, which are now incredibly popular in terms of people wanting to adopt and implement CRM systems. We can support things like demand management and forecasting, such that people can look at their sales, look at their customers and how they manage the sales and the forecast coming in. Things like capacity planning to understand how to use their assets and their people to satisfy the demand coming in. Sales and operations planning, orders management, things like master production scheduling and production shop floor planning. Again, really, really popular area of activity now for a lot of manufacturers is to kind of move from maybe spreadsheets or more manual forms of data management to MRP systems or ERP systems. That's incredibly popular. In fact, a lot of the grant applications that are coming through and a lot of the technical advice and support people want is, these are my requirements for my business. How do I go about selecting the right MRP system? Who are the right vendors? What are the pros and cons of different MRP systems? Because I think most manufacturers are willing to make the jump. They want to make the jump, but they don't want to buy the wrong piece of software.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, there's a lot of tales out there about, well, we bought this MRP system and it doesn't do what we want, and now we don't use it. We've gone back to using our Excel sheets or whatever. We've all heard those stories, and I think that puts people off. But if through Made Smarter we can provide them with more technical advice and support to hold their hand and give them the confidence they're making the right choice for the right reasons, that's what a lot of manufacturers want. So MRP systems incredibly popular right now. Production planning and control, so right down to machine level or production line level. Things like manufacturing execution systems. So how we choose to give instructions or informations to the shop floor to enable people to do a good quality job safely. So the flow of information between design, development, manufacturing, and then onto the shop floor, materials planning and logistics, broader supply chain. So, really the full gambit of core business processes you would expect to find in an SME manufacturer. We can cover all of those aspects. And then maybe if I look at the question, Guy, more from a sort of technologies point of view, the sorts of technologies we can support, again, quite broad, actually. Everything from sort of additive manufacturing, often known as 3D printing. I think most people are familiar with that term. Things like augmented reality, virtual reality, big data and analytics. Again, that seems to be becoming really popular as people now can start to measure things very simply and cheaply on the shop floor. The next question is, now I've got all this data, what do I do with it? So big data and analytics, and that kind of moves into the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. I've got oodles and oodles of data, but it only really provides any value to the business when I start to take decisions based on the data that I've captured. And then once I've made the decision, I then need to take action. And really, it's only those actions that start to drive real value for the organization. So people are kind of making the journey between, I need to measure this. Now I've collected the data, what do I do with it? And how do I analyze it? And how do I make the decision? So people are kind of going through that sort of thought process and starting to embrace different technologies at different times in their roadmap to bring value to their business. But even some relatively simple technologies like sensors on the shop floor, barcoding, QR codes, RFID tags to track material components and finished products, things of that nature. More traditional stuff like robotics, process control, automation, all of those sort of technologies are embraced by Made Smarter. So to answer your question, we can cover quite a lot from a process perspective, but also from a technology perspective.
And very, you say very, very wide, and also that helping to look in what might be the murky looking future when you're thinking actually it's a big step when someone goes from like you say from spreadsheets to into a sort of what you say an MRP system or something that's got much more control and actually all the data in one place and it starts to do things on its own. And that's right. It is getting that right is absolutely critical. And so having that boots on the ground advice, having people sort of say, actually, we've got all the businesses, they've done this, they've done that. Why don't you talk to different leaders? I guess there's a bit of hooking up with people that have already got experience with this.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, through the leadership development program, it's structured in a peer-to-peer way. So if anybody decides to join the leadership development program, they'll be with 11 other manufacturing leaders just like themselves, all adopting digital technology. So they're all on their own journeys, experiencing the same challenges or difficulties and sharing ideas. The leaders that are joining those cohorts are all doing things in slightly different ways and adopting different technologies to do different things. So it's much about the sort of talk content as it is about sharing and learning from each other. And during that program, they also get an opportunity to visit MTC, to look at a variety of different technologies and see them in action. talk to other SME leaders that have actually adopted digital technology, and then also go out and visit shop floor and look at real implementations. So it's not just like a classroom-based exercise. There's lots of hands-on and a lot of opportunity to actually see things sort of firsthand and share with peers, which I think is where a lot of the value really comes from those sorts of things, Guy.
No, absolutely. I know from my experience in industry that idea of talking to other people in the same position, working with different companies, different organisations, give a different view. And like you say, people are at different timelines because of investment structures or because of what they previously put in. That they're not necessarily behind. It's just their investment timeline just doesn't dictate to do something this year. It's next year or the year after.
Yeah.
It's just the way things are. So yeah, I think that's that peer learning, that group of people, really, really important way of doing things. I've got another video here, actually, Chris. I think you know because you gave it me. Okay. Is that a good time just to play this one? Because I think they've got a way of how they implemented some stuff that.
Yeah, absolutely, Guy. I think that's absolutely the right thing to do now. I mean, this is a super example, I have to say, of a local manufacturer that's been on the digital adoption journey for a number of years. And I think it will give you a really good feel for the sorts of technology that we're supporting through Made Smarter, but also I think really articulates a nice story of how you don't have to start with massive capital investments. You can start small, start simple, and develop your digital transformation journey. So this is just a really nice case study of a great local company. So yeah, I think it's a great time to play the video clip now, Guy.
Excellent.
I'm Mike Morgan, co-owner of Autograph Solutions Group. We're Europe's largest engine remanufacturer, and we're based here in Grantham, Lincolnshire. Autograph was established in the 1970s, but by 2010 it came on really tough times and it was going to close. That's when we did the management buyout. We rescued 98 jobs, and back then we were around 7 million of turnover. Today, in 2022, we have over 400 people. We have 3 sites, this being now the head office of a group, and we have 65 million turnover and still growing fast. We started our digital journey back in 2013. We started simple, quick wins, low cost, and anybody I talk to about digital, I say you should do the same thing. We started with simple hand readers and scanners to remove paperwork that was just abundant in the business and all too easy to transpose data incorrectly. Back when we bought the business, we were a traditional manufacturing business with very manual processes. We had some wonderful skilled people, many of whom are still with us today. But it's very easy to make a simple mistake on repetitive work, which can cause you huge quality problems. So to take the next step of our business, to grow, we needed more people. We needed more investment, all of which was on a scale that we couldn't afford as an SME. Digital gave us the answer to that. So in 2015, just 2 years into our digital journey, we invested in the line that's behind us. It was a huge step forward for us. You'll see there are DC tools, and they're actually controlled by arms with encoders, which gave us a big step forward in the controllability to make sure the tool was on the right bolt at the right time, and it recorded all of the torques to make sure that we put that engine together properly. But to go to the next level, we really needed to have increased flexibility. We didn't want those arms restricting where the operator could be and the time to locate those arms. We therefore went on a workshop with KTN, so that's the Knowledge Transfer Network. It's part of Innovate UK. And as an SME, we got access to some really clever people who told us about the future and what else was possible. So on our latest workstations, the operator is guided through every part of the process. That means that they don't have to refer to a screen or a process sheet. This saves seconds in every minute, minutes in every hour, and by the end of the day, they've produced more engines. So when I talk to other business owners and managers about productivity, I always say you have to embrace digital. And I advise them, just take that first step. And when I talk about Made Smarter, for me, it's not a really complicated, scary thing to do. It's starting simple, starting low cost, getting those quick wins. And if our business can be replicated in the way we then got the confidence to grow, it could transform the East Midlands and the rest of the UK's traditional manufacturing base. Made Smarter has never been more important or relevant as we are today. We have a shortage of skilled people. We have inflationary pressures. So it's really important that the people we do employ, we get the most productivity out of them. Here in the East Midlands, I find that the people are very receptive to change. I've worked all over the UK in my 25 years of being in the industry, and I have found that with our business here in the East Midlands, they have a
Sorry, Chris, I'd like to crash back to us both being on screen, actually. The video stopped playing, so we're having a few technical gremlins this morning or this afternoon. I don't know why. I know the internet's lost a couple of times on LinkedIn, and that was hard. We were partway through the video, which I might have to try and get back, but at the moment I can't do that. So we're back on screen, and hopefully you can hear me, Chris, and I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, no, it's kind of ironic. Made Smarter digital technology, and we're thwarted by internet problems.
I know, and this is most unusual. I don't know if it's at this end. I don't know what the server, and I don't know. But normally, I've got enough technologies here to try and keep us through all sorts of different scenarios, including mobile phones, etc., to get internet connections. So I don't know why this is going as it did, but we got partway through that video. I don't want to go back to it just in case we end up with nowhere again. We're still broadcasting. We're still live. I can check on LinkedIn. We're still there, which is good. Partway through that, I think they were talking about how they started off first, just in effect getting some of the data off the shop floor into the machinery.
That's right.
I think it's what you were talking about, where you're saying you start to sort of implement that sort of digital technology, that digital transformation.
Yeah, that's right. I think we got most of the video from Mike, but maybe I can just pull out some of the. I've seen the video just a few times, so maybe I can just pull out some of the key points that Mike Haig-Morgan makes in his video. I think one thing that really strikes me is start simple, start low cost, and just focused on the quick wins. And as Mike says, it doesn't have to be this scary, huge, complicated journey. Start simple, start quick, and start low cost, and it's quite easy to do that. And I think if we saw the rest of the video, Mike goes on to explain how digital has helped the business overcome some of the workforce challenges. Obviously, finding skilled or semi-skilled people these days is particularly difficult. They are in very short supply. And the whole cycle of advertising, recruiting, onboarding, training, engaging, and then retaining employees, that's very difficult and challenging for a lot of SME manufacturers. And of course, digital can help offset a lot of those challenges, and of course, can engage with a much younger audience. And mixing talented, experienced engineers and manufacturing guys and girls with the younger generation that bring some of that digital knowledge and experience with them can just be an amazing combination. And of course, manufacturing is going more in the tech and digital direction anyway, which is far more engaging and very interesting for the younger generation that's coming through. But the video, I think, also sort of sets out some really nice little stories about protecting against quality issues, and providing, particularly new guys and girls on the shop floor with the quality of information that they need to be able to do a good job. And so, the pick by light system that you saw briefly in the video there, and how instructions are passed to the guys and girls on the shop floor. Yeah, very, very useful. And of course, training people and making sure that they're doing a safe job, that they are well and performing as they should be, and not creating defects is incredibly important. And digital can help and protect against quality issues. Labour costs, of course, are increasing, and even if you can hire people, retaining them and paying them is a bit of a challenge. But again, digital can help offset some of those increasing labour costs. So, I think a lot of manufacturers are starting to consider it, not just from a return on investment point of view, but, there are lots of examples where maybe some of the jobs in manufacturing are dirty, perhaps, or, undesirable functions that can be replaced through automation. People simply don't want to do the job and it's hard to hire. So it's not about displacing people or getting rid of people. It's about making better use of the people that you've actually got and enabling them to do high value adding operations rather than grinding or fettling or, welding. It's incredibly difficult to find skilled welders these days. So, if you're in a volume manufacturing business, often the move to robotic welding is a popular one, which I'm seeing across a number of manufacturers across the region. So, it's a great little video clip, and Mike and the team at Autocraft Solutions do a great job. And I think hopefully that video will inspire and motivate other people to kind of follow a similar direction. And just incidentally, some of the technology you saw in the video there is actually being implemented by another Made Smarter beneficiary. They've applied for a grant. The grant's been approved. They are now buying exactly that system of automation for assembly on an aerospace production line within their facility. So, the message is spreading across the region, and people are looking and understanding and watching what other people are doing and starting to adopt these technologies, which is good.
Okay.
It's a good.
So why are SMEs manufacturers, why are they adopting digital tech? It's a reaction maybe to a lack of skills, lack of availability, or that certain jobs are dirty, dangerous, undesirable, whatever the words are. That actually we'll actually automate that bit, because actually that makes some sense, and then find other things for the skilled workforce to do, whether it's monitoring, maintaining, whether it's to look after a number of machines rather than. I know I came across a company that was expanding with their sort of their machinery, their computer control machinery, and that what actually happens is they just end up looking after more. The trained, skilled workforce were actually then looking after 2, 3, 4, 5 machines. That's how it works, and that's what so their productivity went through the roof, because they could take five times the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can sort of displace the lower value adding activities or non-value adding activities and give people more meaningful careers, then, so much the better. So it isn't about replacing people. It's about upskilling people, giving them higher quality jobs and more opportunities, and bringing in tech to do some of the more mundane operations. And we're seeing that happen across the piece. In fact, if I was to break down some of the key reasons why the region's manufacturers are coming through Made Smarter now, it's principally reduction of cost in a lot of different areas. So whether that be energy related costs, which we talked about earlier in the call, but using less raw materials, basic elimination of waste and rework and things like that within their operations, boosting of productivity and labor efficiency, and reducing the cost of poor quality. And all of those things are key reasons why people want to adopt digital. So reduction of cost is sort of first and foremost, I think, given the headwinds that a lot of the region's manufacturers are facing right now. Another key reason is boosting capacity without making more capital investment or in hiring more staff. So, they got a healthy demand pipeline coming towards them. Things like getting more from their current assets. So, improving the reliability of the assets, less breakdowns, more uptime, those sorts of things. Reducing defects. So, that is a way of boosting more capacity, and reducing cycle time. So producing parts faster from the same equipment. And again, workforce challenges. That seems to be coming through as a sort of prevalent trend for people that are making applications. Hard to fill positions. Lack of skilled labour seems to come up quite a lot. Increasing wage costs is an issue, and just the sheer management effort of recruiting people, doing the interviews, even if they do turn up on time, doing the interviews, hiring them, training them, engaging them, and retaining them. That's a significant management effort, and I think lots of manufacturers are struggling with that. So lots of good reasons really for looking to digital to solve some of those like immediate and important challenges. Hello there, Guy. I'm not sure. I think maybe we've got some internet challenges again. I will just sit tight until hopefully.
I think I lost you again there, Chris.
Yes, yeah.
Someone's playing about somewhere near where I live rurally, but it's normally better. It's normally so much better than this. So I can only apologise to everybody that we're
it's fine.
Out every now and again. You were talking about then, the sort of the availability of skills, and that actually this is forcing forcing people down the more technology route.
Yeah.
It's interesting that's you're talking from the manufacturing sector. I mean, the sort of agriculture, horticulture is actually doing something very similar. Lack of workforce, it forces digital transformation. There's now the sort of agri-tech industry is working really hard to come up with new types of machinery, and I guess this happens across all sectors.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we are seeing a number of agri-tech companies come through Made Smarter.
Really?
Being very innovative about the solutions they want to provide to the agri sector. So, we've had quite a lot of agri-tech interest, I have to say. And I'm always, surprised when I look at the applications and look at the reasons why the region's manufacturers are wanting to adopt digital. A lot of it is around basic competitiveness. Yeah, right. On an international scale, I'm not just talking about the UK. Many of them have competitors in the Far East, and it's all about, cost for the most part, just being honest about the topic. But, a lot of the manufacturers are now saying, right, we need to get costs down. We need to improve speed to market of new products. We want to reduce lead time, customer responsiveness, quality, customer satisfaction. All of these things are now coming into the mix. And, I've been really surprised by how focused a lot of the applications have been on. We have to improve our competitiveness, not just productivity, but our competitiveness in order to grow. And we're fighting in a global market here. And we need digital to help us maybe not beat the competition, but just to keep up with what's happening in the Far East. So, lots of good being done. I think you're dropping out a little bit there, Guy. I don't know. I'll just wait a second till you come back in and then we'll carry on. I can hear you, I think, Guy. Are you back in?
I'm back in. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's obviously some
problems. That's all right. No problem. I was just pausing for you to come back in.
Excellent. Sorry about that. Yeah. So again, we were just talking about the sort of different businesses that have been applying for this, and you talked about the agri sector.
Yeah, well, actually, it's true to say the East Midlands region enjoys a really sort of rich mix of manufacturing subsectors. We haven't got any real dominant manufacturing subsector. And so we've seen applications from, as I said earlier, agri-tech, furniture, textiles, fashion, food and beverage, automotive, aerospace, electronics, medical devices, really across the piece. And it's great to see the region's manufacturers reaching out, engaging, and taking advantage of the opportunity across all sectors. It's been great to see. I have to say, and we've also seen manufacturers that are sort of thinking about starting their digital journey right the way through to some that have been on the journey for several years. So it kind of doesn't matter where you're starting. If it's like I'm thinking about it but have never done it. Or actually, I've done quite a bit already, but I need some more help and support to move to the next level. So it doesn't really matter where you are. We can scoop manufacturers up from wherever they are in their journey and provide them with help and support.
Okay. And like you say, there's lots of people doing this because actually they have to. They're actually looking at digital transformation. They're looking at because they've got to be competitive in either the local market, the UK market, or the international market.
That's right.
Up against some highly automated, highly technological enabled companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so the pressure to remain internationally competitive, is really prevalent in a lot of the applications and a lot of the interest that we're seeing, which is great for UK PLC. This is exactly what we should be doing.
Yeah. Okay. I think just to wrap this. So how do I find out about this program, Chris? What do I do? How do I find some more information?
Well, you can Google Made Smarter. Just pop it in your Google search bar, put Made Smarter. It's number one. There you go. You got the HTTPS there. It's number one on page one, so it shouldn't be tough to find. It's a great website. It's an excellent asset. It's a national Made Smarter website. And expression of interest or registration of expression of interest is dead simple. You just click on I'm a manufacturer, and the next button you are faced with is register your business. And you just click on that button, enter a few details, and it's as simple as that. You are registered. If you want to know more about what's going on in the East Midlands region, we have our own section on the national website. So you click on adoption in my region, East Midlands, and that will give you access to all the information about what's available for the region's manufacturers. So the website is just a brilliant asset. If you're looking for tech providers, there's a whole tech providers directory on the Made Smarter website as well, which is a really useful section. So if you want a MRP system provider in your local area, you can search for that, for example. There's stacks of videos and other information about adoption stories of what other folks have done with the adoption of digital technology. And there is also a Made Smarter YouTube channel. So for those of you that want to see what other people have been up to and get some ideas as to what's possible for you, take a look at the YouTube channel. Again, loads of great content. So dead easy to register. But as I said earlier, don't hang around. We've had over 240 expressions of interest already. We've only got a limited budget. So if you are interested, I would encourage you to get your EOI in as soon as possible.
So it runs until what do you say? March 2025?
March 25. So we've got just under 2 years left to run.
And you've already got 240 expressions of interest.
We've had 240 expressions of interest. We've engaged with over 90 manufacturers already, which is a quarter of the overall program's total, which has just been phenomenal. We've already issued grant funding to a few companies for both CapEx and revenue projects. So the funding is there, the support is there, and people are benefiting from it right now. So it's and we only have limited funds, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's a case of if you're thinking about it, get in touch. You'll work out through that conversations, eligibility. You'll work if they can gain from this, if they're right for the program's right for them, and then take them down that journey. Sounds brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just looking as I'm just checking on LinkedIn. I can't see any questions for us at the moment. I can't see any comments. So I'm going to, at this point, say thanks very much, Chris. It's 1:55. I know we've had a couple of outs, but we're pretty nearly 2 o'clock. We're nearly at that. Thanks so much for today, Chris. I think lots of information. That Made Smarter website, get into there. Lots of resources in there, lots of stuff you can have a go at, and also that idea of click a button and you can register. So thanks for your time. And obviously, if they want to get in touch with you. I think you're on LinkedIn as well, aren't you? Somewhere.
I am indeed.
Lots of ways to get in hold of you.
Yeah, there is indeed. Thanks, Guy.
That's okay. Okay, I'm just going to, as a quick wrap, say thanks to Chris again. So don't forget to check out the Business Lincolnshire site for any further information. That's the www.businesslincolnshire.com. Thank you for attending today's show. Do keep your eyes open for the next live show, which we think will be in June. Hopefully, we're going to talk about more support programs on that program. So keep an eye on LinkedIn. Well, as soon as we've got the more details, we'll put that on there. So from myself and from Chris, thanks for joining us. I hope you find that really useful. And do get in touch with Made Smarter if that's galvanised you into some action. I think it'd be brilliant.
That's great. Thank you, Guy. Much appreciated.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye. Bye-bye.